Today we're going to dive into a pretty revolutionary way of looking at character classes in tabletop role-playing games. It's called the Multiverse Dice Master System, or MDM for short. And really, it's all about two things: making the game fast and letting your creativity just run wild.
But let me just ask you this first. Does your epic world-saving adventure ever start to feel a little bit like doing paperwork? Come on, you know the feeling. We've all been there. You're buried in rulebooks, you're waiting for your turn, and you just feel this mental exhaustion creep in that completely pulls you out of the story.
You know, a lot of that fatigue actually comes from the game's design. The old way is very linear, this kind of stop-and-go process where every single action has to get permission from the dungeon master, who becomes a total bottleneck. MDM just flips that on its head. It uses what you could call parallel processing, a kind of high-speed story physics that gives you, the player, directorial power and just frees up your brain to create. So let's really dig into that problem that MDM was built to solve. We're calling it the adventuring bottleneck. It's all about how that slow, permission-based gameplay can turn heroes into, well, bored spectators.
Okay, so the fancy term for it is cognitive interference patterns, but here's what it actually feels like. You wait for your turn, then you wait for the DM's approval, then you wait to roll damage, and suddenly the whole epic moment is shattered into a million little pieces. Your immersion is just gone, and you're not the hero anymore. You're just waiting in line.
So what's the fix? Well, it all starts with a really simple but incredibly powerful idea: a single, unified blueprint for every single character class. And trust me, this one foundation changes everything. It's called the Universal Foundation. And what it means is that all 21 character classes in MDM, I'm talking Artificer, Barbarian, Bard, Cleric, Druid, all the way down to Warlock and Wizard, they all follow the exact same progression from level 1 to 20. This creates this beautifully balanced, totally predictable power curve that's so logical, even an AI can understand it instantly. And you can see just how clear this shared journey is. Look at these milestones. Every single class gets their ability score improvements and feats at the exact same levels. There's no guesswork. A level 8 monk is on the exact same power curve as a level 8 sorcerer. It's a clean, geometric, and totally equal system for character growth that everyone at the table can count on. Okay, so you might be thinking, if everyone's on the same progression track, how do you make a hero feel unique? That's a great question, and MDM's answer is to front-load your character's identity, separating who they are from a huge pile of complicated mechanics.
Right from the very beginning, your hero's identity is built on three core pillars: your genetic traits, which is your biology, your alignment language, which is your key to the world's magic, and your Enneagram, which is basically your character's psychological blueprint.
Now, the Enneagram is an absolute game changer. It's not a rigid set of rules, not at all. Think of it more like a toolbox of role-playing prompts, a universal language for your character's deepest fears, their desires, and even what triggers them in a fight. This lets anybody, not just professional actors, portray a really complex and motivated hero with way less prep work. And alignment languages are just as smart. They're no longer about some strict moral code you have to follow. Instead, they're a functional, in-game language that you use to do stuff, like activate magic items or negotiate with powerful factions. It's a tool, not a personality label. All right, now let's get to the real core philosophy of this whole system. And it might sound a little counterintuitive. It's how smart limitations can actually create more freedom, not less. This quote right here is the soul of MDM. You see, a lot of modern games just drown you in endless options, which sounds good, but it often leads to analysis paralysis. MDM works from a different principle, that well-designed restrictions, a strong framework, is the real secret to unlocking creativity and excellence.
And here is where you see that freedom in action. Instead of a clunky, complicated multi-classing system, you get modular subclass features. So let's say you're playing a fighter with a gladiator subclass, but you absolutely love the rogue's dirty fighting feature. Well, with your DM's okay, you can just import it. You get to build the exact hero you imagine instead of just trying to game the system.
So what you're really doing is trading all those complex, often unbalanced rules and prerequisites for a super simple, flexible, and story-driven way to customize your hero. And the best part? You're doing it all while keeping that perfectly balanced power curve we talked about earlier. So what's the big payoff for all this careful, focused design? Well, it's a game that can finally move at the speed of your own imagination. And this number says it all. By getting rid of all the heavy, repetitive math, a combat encounter that used to take a full hour is now over in about 15 minutes.
And think about what that means. That's so much more time for story, for role-playing, for all the crazy shenanigans that make these games so memorable.
And this incredible speed comes from that concept we mentioned earlier, story physics. Instead of rolling dice for every little thing, a single roll can resolve your turn order, your attack, and even how many hits you land. The mechanics and the narrative just fuse together into one seamless, super high-speed experience.
The benefits here are just huge. Players get to become narrative architects, describing their own awesome cinematic outcomes. That cognitive load we talked about, it plummets for everybody. And because the system's structure is so clear and logical, an AI can actually step in and assist the DM, running monsters or tracking world events, which frees up even more creative brain space. At the end of the day, less friction just means more fun.
So that's a quick look at this new blueprint for creating heroes, and it leaves us with one last, really exciting question to think about. What amazing story could you and your friends tell if the system, finally and truly, just got out of the way?